for the legs. We'll just meet it that way. And then with all the spline castings in there, we can just go ahead. And then once we've got the bolts tightened and everything, we can go ahead and roll this back over on the boat stand so that the round side is up again. With the hardtop rolled back over, round side up, we're now ready to add the fiberglass. So the fiberglass we buy kind of in these big rolls here, and then we cut it to size. It cuts really well with a cutoff wheel, an abrasive cutoff wheel on an angle grinder. Where dust mask, obviously it is fiberglass. It's 50 inches wide, so that's why we got 25 inches on center for the beams. And we're going to kind of do our glue in those 50-inch increments and just kind of do sheet by sheet. We won't put all the glue down at once. We'll just kind of do the first 3 ribs for covering 50 inches. We'll do the first sheet and then we'll move on to the next one. The fiberglass, you'll notice, is kind of a little bit better finished on one side. They've done a little bit better job with the gel coat on one side. So one side is a little bit smoother, whereas the other side is a little bit more matte, or you can see a little bit more of the fiberglass strand through it. We usually like the finish side, the slightly better, smoother surface. We're going to put that on top. Obviously, the sun exposure and everything will do a little bit better on that side. All right, this works better with 2 people to lay this out. All right, so we're just going to dry fit the fiberglass on there, lay it over top, start halfway across so that we line up with the center of the far rib. Come underneath the Sharpie marker, bit of an angle on the marker, and you can run it along the whole way of the fiberglass. And then I usually just kind of use an abrasive cutoff wheel. So when we roll this over, we got a nice kind of straight line. Doesn't need to be too straight. I usually cut just in the inside edge of the line. We'll come back along, and the track will seal the edge of it for a nice straight line after that. The first thing I'd recommend doing is kind of cleaning the top surface where the glue is going to go. We're going to put a bead of silicone along each rib. We like a product called toluene. Acetone works too. Toluene is just a little bit better. I just use a little piece of paper towel, and I'll make sure that I wipe the top all the way along. See, the paper towel's dirty. Silicone likes a nice clean surface, as you guys know, so we're just gonna wipe that a few times until the paper towel starts to come away clean. All right, and then we will be ready to add our silicone. Got to work a little bit quickly with the silicone, as you'll see. For silicone, we swear by this as just a GE SCS 1200. Their specialty construction adhesive. We use it on all our hatches, and we've used it on hardtops now. Holds up well, good UV resistance, everything like that. This is just a mimic, but what we're going to do is we are going to add a nice thin bead, possibly in a little zigzag pattern, back and forth across. You don't need too much, just a very thin bead, because as you add the fiberglass, it'll want to squish out and make a mess down the side of the tube. Kind of a pain in the butt to clean up. So if you can, just a nice kind of a skim back and forth all the way along the beam. And we're also going to get you to do a little bead right along these castings joints. All right, around here, we're going to go around the holes, up along here, around the holes, and we'll do a nice bead right along the just kind of the inside from the center, if you will. Just off center a little bit here is perfect. Go around each hole, down the center of the beam. Do a little skim pattern if you want. All right. So there's 25 inches. We'll keep carrying this forward. The sheets are 50 inches. So run this along here, around each hole, come along here. here where the butt edge is going to be for the fiberglass. The sheet's only going to go halfway, so try and stay in this bottom third, I guess I'll call it, or bottom quarter of this beam here. For this last rib, we'll just put a little skim right along, not even past the halfway point here. All right, so now we'll have a nice bead of silicone all along the tubes. You probably have about 15 minutes of tack time on this, so we need to get this sheet laid down within about 10 or 15 minutes here. You guys are in Florida, so the weather's a little different. So to get started, you'll notice that I've actually just got a small sheet here to work with a little bit easier for the video. I've rolled it inside out so that the coarser side, or the side to be down, is on the outside here. We've got our silicone all the way along each rib for the first 50 inches. We're going to start at the back of the arch, not the front of the arch. You're going to try and lay this down nice and straight without smearing your silicone, nice and straight on the beam. This is why two people helps. And you're going to slowly unroll it all the way across. Make sure it's straight on the beams. And then sometimes we like to come back and just kind of set a few weights, you know, a couple blocks of wood, maybe a piece of metal or something here to kind of hold that fiberglass nice and snug on top of that. This is where the silicone needs to set up for about 24 hours. So you're going to be leaving this overnight to let the silicone set up. Now you'll have a set of castings that look like this. These are going to hold the track to the edge of the tube. They're also going to hold the fiberglass down. They get screwed through with a couple of 5/16 bolts through the fiberglass and into the casting. This is why we've siliconed around each hole here. To drill the holes, you're just going to use a casting to line it up. The center here, we often need to oversize the hole. Take a hand drill. We need to open up this hole a little bit here. So once we've got it all cut, I say lined up with roughly the center of the tube, we've got our plates on there just kind of loose for now. All right, that'll allow us to tuck the track up underneath the casting. See, there's a little groove in the casting that'll align with the rib on the track. All right, so it'll actually lock itself in place there. We'll tighten down those screws and we'll put a set screw in here. All right, so lined up, the set screw goes in. We'll move on to the next one. The plate will go on there. Line up the rib into the groove of the casting, and we'll tighten that all down so we get all the way along. Once you have your fiberglass on and your edge track on, edge track is all pinched down with your castings and snugged in place all the way around. We're going to further hold this track down with a small self-tapping screw, a little number, I guess an 1/8 inch drill bit we'll use. Small little 1/8 inch drill bit. And about every 24 inches or so, we're just going to put a screw in place. So with the track in place, again, an 1/8 inch drill bit, we're just going to tighten this down. Through the fiberglass and into the aluminum rib underneath. And we'll use a little self-tapping screw, number 6 self-tapping screw. Make sure that's pinched down. We'll do that about every 24 inches or so. So we'll have the castings. We'll have the castings that are holding the track along the edge. And then a screw roughly every 24 inches as we go around. Alright, putting the track on the front is a little bit trickier than the sides. The sides are just nice and straight, so obviously there's no bending required. The track at the front does require a little bit of a deflection. So the way that we like to do that is we like to kind of mark the center. Just a little scribe with a pencil. Center. That's going to line up with the center that we've drilled into the tube for you. All right. So we'll start that. We'll pinch that under the casting at the center. All right. Scribe mark to the center of the set screw. We'll make sure that that's nicely into the groove of the casting as we did before, okay? And then it really helps to have an extra set of hands here. And you can see how we just kind of need to push each end in, maybe about 2 inches each side or 1.5 inches each side. So usually what we do is we just kind of push in maybe 12 inches, 18 inches at the front. We'll drill one of those self-tapping screws right through the fiberglass, right through the track and the fiberglass. We'll use another flat plate casting. We'll kind of push it in and hold it there until we work our way around. Again, so from the underside, you can see we've got kind of a little bit of silicone that's squished out here. We've got the bolt done up, these bolts done up, corner castings done up. And then on the top, we've got casting here holding down corner